Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at What If? What If is a Filipino romantic drama that tells the story of Billy and Jose, a newlywed couple who go on a romantic honeymoon getaway to Panglao Island shortly after they get married. The two are coasting off the good vibes of their ceremony and vows made to each other when a storm arrives. Before and during the storm, the two recollect the circumstances that led to the two meeting and the problems they faced before marrying. These problems become exacerbated the longer they stay inside the house as the storm rages, leading to difficult truth surfacing that threaten to tear the two apart. This was a frustrating experience to watch because it could have been so much more than it ended up being. Despite some elements of its drama and setting being done well, its messy pacing and boring narrative and characters leave it being little more than another Trouble in Paradise story that's already been done to death. The characters were as flat can possibly be. The main character Billy has virtually no depth apart from the fact that she's the wife of the couple. I recognized her actress from another Netflix movie, My Amanda, and she does a good job as far as performance is concerned here, but her character is just plain uninteresting to watch. Even though she does react appropriately to events that proceed throughout the story, she never really comes into her own as a character. The audience is only ever fed little crumbs of details, like the fact that she's a keyboardist or that she has a tenuous relationship with her father, and it's never expanded beyond surface level, so despite being somewhat sympathetic, I could never really get invested in her. On a similar note, her husband Jose Emilio, or Jex as he's often known, doesn't have much to go on, aside from the fact that he's a popular singer known for the song where the movie gets its title from. His actor also does a good job at conveying the right emotions for his character, but in terms of writing, he's just as dull as Billy is. There's really not much more to say about them at an individual level, as the movie's more focused on them as a couple. This does make sense, as it's supposed to center on the fact that they're newlyweds, but it's still disappointing to see them lack any kind of agency, and the disappointment only gets worse from there. The relationship dynamic between these two is as cliche as it gets. It starts with the two being handsy and head over heels, singing songs to each other and other kinds of cheesy crap, before moving into the two crying and yelling at each other with the drama that comes between them. And it just sucks. It's all stuff that's been seen 1,000 times. It's the same cheesy, up-down, predictable love story all over again, made only slightly more novel by the fact that it supposedly takes place in a relatively small time frame after a wedding. And this is where the movie really starts to become grating. The pacing and direction of the story is all over the place. The idea is that the movie starts off with the two being happy before digging into their past and revealing hints of things that could cause a rift later on. This concept can be done well if used sparingly, but the problem is that the movie uses it all the time. It keeps stopping and starting, going backwards in time and forwards in time, and staying in the past and present for random periods of time. The audience is never given a chance to properly digest things before the scene switches time and setting, and this makes it more irritating to watch. To an extent, the flashbacks do help add characterization to both Billy and Jose regarding how they respond to certain things that happen while on the island, but other times they end up feeling pointless, as the movie will casually drop information in the present completely unrelated to these flashbacks without any prior build-up, and this only makes things even more jarring. As annoying as the presentation is, there were times where I actually enjoyed the drama happening between Billy and Jose. It all unfolds in a realistic manner where misunderstandings, family meddling, and other things gradually reveal themselves, then fade away, only to resurface later on. I like what the movie was going for, and that it shows how turbulent a marriage can be, especially as far as what these two go through. It's just that the conflict comes at too late a point in the movie to really bother caring about it, and everything that happens beforehand hurts its end goal. There is so much unnecessary dialogue that bogs this movie down, especially in the beginning. It feels like in every other scene, Jose is talking to his mom on the phone, or the pair are hanging out with the island's caretakers. I understand they're having fun on vacation, and some conversations do reveal clues about the conflict later on, but most of the time they never go anywhere. Jose's constant documentation of the trip is also annoying. Again, I know that he's on vacation and it makes sense for him to take some selfies and videos, but the amount of times it happens in the first act of the movie is incredibly distracting to the plot that's supposed to be building up. When the movie is able to break away from the monotony of the dialogue, flashbacks, and other filler, the setting and tone both do what it can to rein things back in. I like how the filmmakers use different types of cinematography and effects to show the island giving off warm vibes or a sense of trouble in paradise, depending on what happens in the story. Some activities that happen on the island, like swimming and cooking, also help to shake things up, but there's not much entertainment to be found when they're mostly presented in montages. Instead of allowing one scene to linger for a while, the movie often resorts to collections of scenes, and it all feels lazy. The constant meandering with the plot, montages, and flashbacks result in the story becoming increasingly more boring the longer it goes on. even though it does get somewhat better over time, it's never able to recover from its sloppy pacing. It's almost as if the movie isn't even interested in telling a story in the long term. And it's a shame, because I can tell it is trying to be something more than the sum of its parts. The musical scenes have a good level of production behind them, the island setting is interesting, and like I said before, the dramatic conflict is there and pulled off well in some respects, but in the end it just doesn't come together. It squanders every bit of potential it had in its semi-realistic unraveling of a newlywed marriage and showing how miscommunication can tear people apart, and instead waste it on pointless filler. The framework is there for a better film, but as it is now, it simply doesn't work. Overall, What If is a disappointing romantic drama that fails to stand out beyond its cliché writing and directionless story. If you like romantic dramas and don't mind dealing with stories that go all over the place, you might be able to enjoy this one, but for me this didn't cut it. As much as I like parts of the conflict and how the setting was portrayed, the boring story, flat characters, and lazy presentation prevented me from enjoying it as much as I wanted to. The entire time I watched it, I thought to myself, what if this movie turned out better? But now that it's over, I think it's best to forget about it and move on. What did you think about this movie? Did you enjoy seeing the conflict unfold between the characters, or were you bored by it instead? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of What If. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the Polish action thriller, Freestyle. Bye bye!